There you go, Dr. Gabe. It's all yours.
All right. Good to see everybody. We got a big group here today.
Hi.
So good to see you all virtually. And thank you for those of you who are not on the committee, on the Community Engagement Committee, for carving time out on your schedules close to the holidays to come and share your wisdom and your expertise about your neighborhood. We really appreciate having you all here. Good to see y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. So the first agenda item is for us to approve the meeting minutes from our last community engagement meeting on October 16th. And so if you have had an opportunity to look at those, which may be limited to the committee members, I think. Does anybody have questions, additions, omissions, comments, anything like that?
No.
Okay.
Okay, cool. What did I hear? I thought I heard somebody come off mute. I might be hearing things. Cool. So do we have a motion to approve last month's Community Engagement Committee meeting minutes?
I'll move.
Awesome. And that was
Mike.
Mike. Good to see you, Mike. I was taking a walk. I saw your house the other day. I was taking a walk down the parkway. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. And that was
Sharon.
got it. Thank you, Miss Sharon. Good to see you. Look at me, Miss Rita. I'm confirming who it is and everything. I'm doing it today. I'm on my game today. Look at this. All right.
You are doing well, Dr. Gabe. I just have one little correction for you.
Oh,
okay,
shoot.
so Miss Sharon you need a second from somebody who's on the committee, which that would need to be Mike or to Dr. Milliner. For the purposes of this meeting, we have all the neighborhood reps on here because of what we're doing.
Yes,
all right,
ma'am.
so Dr. Milliner is saying she will second that.
Perfect. Perfect. I was wondering about that.
Thank you though, Miss Sharon. No problem.
Okay, thank you.
Got it. Y'all see how I hyped myself up and got immediately humbled? That's the story of my life right there. That is the absolute story of the way my life works. As soon as I gas myself up, no.
I tried to be as gentle as I could.
You did. No, that it was me. It was not you. It was definitely me.
Rita, do you see the note in the chat from Scott Love, who was one of the observers tonight? He says he's having a problem with his audio. I don't know if that's something you can address or not. Okay, he's okay. He sent another note saying he's fine now. Okay.
Good. So he don't even know what I just went through. That's perfect. Welcome, Scott. Everything's been fine. Everything's going smoothly. We're good. Everything's good. Oh, okay, cool. So item number 3 on the agenda for today, and really what the bulk of this community engagement meeting is all about, are some updates around the public engagement or the community engagement plan and strategy. And of course, we have Dr. Aaron Rollins here today to be a part of that discussion. And we have also the neighborhood representatives to share your all's thoughts so that we can collectively work towards the best path for engaging each of our neighborhoods and establishing priorities for this board for each of our neighborhoods. So if it is okay, and somebody jump in if you all don't feel like this is a good direction. Dr. Rollins, could you start us off with just like a quick summary of what we've discussed up to this point, and then we can sort of chime in collectively, if that's okay with everybody?
Yes.
That works for me. Great.
Okay.
So of course, thank you all for having me. And I'm looking forward to working with you all. So we were thinking 9 different nine different and separate community engagement meetings. The meetings would include, of course, individuals from this committee, or from the community engagement committee, as well as the representatives. So each of the meetings, we'd like the representative for that specific community, specific community, to be there to help talk about the progress that the board has made, that the partnership has made at that time. I think we're still waiting. Is my understanding that we're still waiting on more information from the finance committee for my main point. But I'll kind of go through the idea of the program. So the initial program will have someone, and I envision the individual. I never remember his name, from Simmons. Do you all know I'm referencing the board member from Simmons College? Okay.
Michael. J. Michael Brown.
Yep. I knew it was something like that. It's memorable, and I'm just terrible with it. So someone who's been around, who's seen the partnership for kind of give a brief overview, 5-10 minutes maybe or so, discussing the history, where we've been, and some of the progress that we've made up to this point. From there, we'll turn it over to some members from the community engagement committee, as well as the specific member for each community, to kind of talk about where we are now. They can talk about some of the training, some of the things, some of the recent developments from the board, and hopefully, I want to talk with you a little bit about my idea about the short-term or short-term goals and wins, I call them, and discuss my ideas on the short-term wins. And I want to pause, if y'all don't mind. Let me just kind of talk about that idea, to flush it out here with the community members, so when they do meet, you all understand what I was saying and what I'm thinking here. So I'll just tell you a few things. So first, you all know this better than I know this, but because you all are from here and you all know the neighborhoods, but there have been a lot of organizations and companies and partnerships, I guess you would call them, for years, who have come into these neighborhoods, and truthfully, they've left the neighborhoods, and the people felt like they didn't get what they were promised. And many of the people are, their ideas about initiatives like these are dated because of those just years of just being treated like that. And so what I was hoping is that what we can do with the partnership is take that into consideration as we make our first big splash into the neighborhoods. So I was hoping for every neighborhood, Chickasaw, Shawnee, and I'm not gonna go through all 9, but y'all know Park Duval, when we go to that neighborhood, that specific neighborhood person can say, hey, you all, and we're gonna guarantee this next year, over this next year, that we're going to invest, not donate, but we're going to invest $100,000 per neighborhood. This is big, directly into Shawnee, directly into Park Duval, directly into Chickasaw. Not give, but invest this directly into that neighborhood. And it'll show them that we're not everybody else. We are from this neighborhood. Our bylaws, our statutes force us to work and provide opportunities and jobs and what have you in these specific neighborhoods with feedback from you all. So when we come back to you all next year and talk about this and revamp this again, we're gonna be able to tell you all, this is how we spent the money that we promised Chickasaw, Park Duval, whatever, Shawnee. This is how we did it. So it's not, I wasn't intending for this to be a grant, but more so a commitment to spending that much money in that neighborhood based off the feedback that we get from them. And so if I was a community member and I heard that, I would say, you know what? All right, let's give them a chance. Here's where I think we could use in my neighborhood, and here's what we can in those neighborhoods. And then hopefully, and I have all the faith in the world that you will do that. When you go back to the meetings at the end of the first quarter, you're gonna say, hey, this is what my neighborhood needed. This is what they said they wanted. I'm prepared to support this initiative for my neighborhood, because I want to go back to that meeting and show my neighborhood that I've done right by my neighborhood. So the first part of the meeting, then the person from the neighborhood would say that. Following that, Laura will come and do what she does so well and say, all right, here's what we do, here's what we can and cannot do. Laura is very good and say, this is what we can and cannot do by statute, and Laura is very good at that. And then once you give us the parameters of what we can and cannot do, I will lead a facilitated discussion similar to a SWOT analysis and talk them through the ideas and the initiatives, and allow them to talk and to ask questions. And I'll start with some guided questions, and I will lead the conversation and hear their thoughts. And we're going to take the copious notes. We're going to take these back to you all as a board at the conclusion. You're going to be there for yours at least, hopefully, each of you all. But if you can't make all 9 or all 10 of them, I'm sorry. If you can't make all 10, but we're going to come back at the end of this and just have a conversation. Hey, here are the initiatives. Here's the feedback. Now you all go forth and please don't make me look like I'm a liar. Please support these initiatives. Support the initiatives for those community members. And I think that will really, really help the board start off on a great footing. And I'm not saying this is all the money you have to spend or whatever or what have you, but I think this is just a really good push and a really good way to show the neighborhoods that you all know this better than I do, who've had these saviors come in and these initiatives and programs and what have you. And these people they are looking at the partnership, just to be honest, like another one, just another entity. They're going to take money and somebody's going to get it and run away with it. And my neighborhood's going to be just the way it was before they started. But if you do this and help us with this, I believe you can help us change that narrative and change these neighborhoods for the better. So that's kind of an overview. And I'm really more than happy to kind of talk through this or talk through some of the questions. I know we've already voted, but I think this is a good time for to take any questions or ideas or thoughts on any of that. I'd like to kind of hear your thoughts. And I only see I think 9 people, so I can't. If your hand is up, if you're trying to talk, you might just blurt in because I can't see all. What is it, 13 of us on here? I can't see everyone on my screen. So
we didn't get into specifics, but there was some discussion at the finance committee meeting, and there was some feedback from some of the members that we should make sure that the anything that we're contributing money to is economic development based rather than just any nonprofit.
Sure.
So I'm throwing that out there for discussion.
Mhm.
Sure. Let me make sure. Thanks for that. Thank you, Michael. Let me make sure I'm very clear. I am in no way supporting or encouraging you all to just give a grant to each neighborhood. I'm not saying that. I think what I am trying to say is this is your opportunity to hear from your constituents in your specific neighborhood and come back and say, this is what we want. This is how we think you can help us now on a short-term goal, just short-term. And then even long-term, we may say, hey, we made this, that project or that vision is probably a little bit larger than what we have allocated right now, but we're not against it. But it's all about hearing from them and telling them we're going to go back and do exactly what we promised you all we're going to do. That builds goodwill with anybody and builds trust. It builds goodwill with every neighborhood. And it shows them that we're not like the people of the past. We're different. We're really committed to doing this and doing right by you all. And I think that's just who I am. And that's really the reason, one of the main reasons I want to come back with you all and push this type of initiative, because I believe you all have a great opportunity to do some good work in your respective neighborhoods. But you tell the finance committee, please share with them. I'm in no way supporting a grant to the neighborhoods or a grant to any organization, but I do need you all to understand and help me push to them. I don't even know if any of you all are on there, but help me explain to them that you're fighting an uphill battle, and it's not your fault. And you're fighting an uphill battle because of history and because of years of people doing that. This is your opportunity to do exactly what you all are entrusted to do, and that's to support your neighborhoods and listen to them and get their feedback on how you all can help and help enhance the economic development for your specific neighborhoods.
Okay, so
thank you.
Just as a summary, what I understood Dr. Rollins to be saying now is that at each of the sessions, one of the things that might be helpful for us is to say, we know that the feedback we're getting is going to be used to determine what kind of economic development projects, housing projects, et cetera, that we plan that we will be doing in each of the neighborhoods. And as a show of goodwill, as we kick off these neighborhood meetings, one of the things that we want to promise to each of the neighborhoods is not only will we do a large project that will benefit all of West Louisville, but we want to make a commitment to do a project in each of the 9 neighborhoods as a kickoff to show good faith. And that project can be housing, economic development, etc. But he's not advocating a grant.
Thank you. I couldn't have
Okay.
said it
Is
better.
that the
Thank you.
summary?
Thank you, Laura.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
So what's the reaction to that?
I thought I saw a hand, but you all are moving on my screen.
Yeah, that
Gabe,
was
your
me.
hand up? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I put it up and put it back down. And I have not specifically related to this. I do have one thing related to this. But I have like a short list of feedback items that I got because I was meeting with folks last week and it was really productive. I think what you've discussed about allocating the funds, I think it sounds good. The question that folks were giving me over and over about it is to make sure that we have tight and well communicated parameters around it so that we don't fail essentially, or so that we don't have a bunch of ideas that the mechanism of getting from the idea to the funded outcome is too much for us to achieve in a short term. So I think the more that we can discuss and communicate, which we've been doing here about things like housing and economic development, but the more we can clarify that, I think the better off we'll be keeping it specific to that for right now.
I think you're right. And that's why I want to have, after you share the good news, the community members share that good news to their community during the meeting. I want immediately following that, I'd like Laura to come up and do what Laura does so well and say, this is what we're going to do this, but here are the parameters. These are the type of things we can do and the type of things we just simply cannot do. And then allow them to as we go through the conversations, they should know, don't even ask for some, don't ask me, can I use this for babies? I'm going to use up my, use this for whatever, pay my credit card bills off or to pay for my very expensive childcare bill, $230 a week that I don't like.
It's only temporary. It's only temporary.
That's what I was going to say. That was kind of like personal experience.
Just even when he's not there, even on half weeks,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, but yeah. And I think, what do y'all think? Do you think some of the community members, just tell me, if you were to tell your neighborhood that you share that news with them, hey, come to this meeting because we have a really big announcement that we're going to share, and it's going to be, I would say 100,000 per neighborhood to show a sign of goodwill. We're really about this work for your neighborhood. How do you think that will go over in your neighborhoods? I just want to hear your thoughts. I know I see some of the people who are representing the communities on here. Do I hear Sharon? Hey, let me tell y'all this one more thing. Y'all call me Aaron. I've told Laura Rita this for you, y'all. I'm Aaron, y'all. Let me just be Aaron.
Okay.
I don't know. My neighborhood, when I talk to them, they want to know when. You keep bringing up what you're going to do. When are you going to do it? This is why I'm trying to get some feedback on some ideas so that when we sit down and talk, maybe the next time I can come to you and say, well, we're getting ready to have a meeting, let's say Saturday, and it's going to be such a place, and would you like to come and, give out what you're thinking? But they want to know when.
Do they want to know when we're going to do something or when is the meeting?
No, when we're going to do something.
Okay.
They said everybody's been.
And that's fair.
Yeah, they picked up 28th Street, and then next thing you know, they're gone. Saturday at Kroger's on 28th and Broadway, they had Saturday, they had no cashiers. I said, well, I can't fix that.
Yeah, it's private.
Yeah, but these are the things
Yeah.
that they're getting frustrated about. This. I don't know. I don't,
Sharon, I understand that that's a completely fair frustration, to be perfectly honest, and
it
that's
is,
why I want you all to share with the finance committee that we have to show them that we're going to do something. We're going to, I mean, and saying something like I'm going to invest $5,000 or $10,000, just to be perfectly honest, that can't help
yeah.
one person. I mean, you're going to have to show it. If you're going to try to do an economic development, you're going to have to really invest something that's meaningful. So that's why I'm suggesting 100,000 per neighborhood. But the answer to your question is, we're going to do these in the first quarter of the year, January, February, and March. You are going to
Okay.
meet, and it's up to you. And hopefully, you keep that same energy. I want you to share that with the board. Hey, you all, we need to put on these now. All
Right.
this riffraff, we need some action now. So the answer to them, your question, after we do those meetings, the very next meeting, we're going to have a summary. The very next, have a summary, and we're going to start voting on them immediately for the start of the next fiscal year, which is July 1st. That's
Okay.
what I'm hoping. That's my hopes. But of course, I'm not on the board. But I'm hoping to push you. I'm trying to get you all some results soon, some quick wins.
Okay.
But let me ask you a question while I have you though. If you were to tell them that, I want to hear your thoughts. If you tell them, what neighborhood do you represent?
I'm Parkland.
Parkland. If you were to tell your community members in Parkland, I'm on this board. I believe we're going to do it. We voted on it. We've committed. We're going to spend 100,000 at least in economic development in
Right.
Parkland between starting the next fiscal year between July 1st of 2024 to June 30th of 2025. We're going to spend this, and I'm going to be there to make sure it's spent in Parkland. If you were to tell them that, and you stand up there and say that, what type of reception do you think you'll receive in Parkland from your constituents?
I think they're just gonna look at me. I don't. I'm serious.
That's
I
fair.
think
Oh, that's fair.
a lot like I said, a lot of people have been told, and we have things down there, and then, they close up. They're just so it's I don't know. It's really hard. It's hard convincing these people. It's hard. I said
And that's fair.
yeah, coming and we're gonna do the work, and they're like, well, when? I will bring this up again. I'll let.
Sharon, do you think you would have some difficulty getting people to come to a community meeting in Parkland just to talk about what their aspirations are for the community?
I believe I probably could get a handful of people.
Okay.
I believe.
If I could, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And the ones I believe that will come, they're trying to help me convince the other ones that we have to try.
Okay.
Sharon, is there a particular location that you have in mind that you could suggest for a meeting? Is there any type of formal or informal association in your neighborhood?
There's Calvary Historical Baptist Church. I was going to speak to Reverend Whitlow and see if we could use the downstairs basement.
Okay.
But I didn't want to go to them and ask be 2 people or 5.
Right. Okay. Well, at least we have a location in mind. And is there a particular day of the week or that you think would work best? Or Saturday, Sunday? What day of the week?
I would have to go back and ask because, the way I work, I really don't get to see these people every day. Like, I'm not home from work yet. So I have to go and knock on their door. I don't.
Do you work on Saturdays?
Not now.
Okay. So probably what you're talking about for you and your neighborhood, a Saturday would be better.
Right.
Okay. I'm just making some notes with regard to what's going to work best for each of the neighborhoods, because we really have to lock down, some dates and times. So that's helpful. Thank you.
And when I talk to Reverend Whitlow, because they do Dirty Care Saturday mornings, but I'm gonna run it by him to see what would be convenient.
What about the other neighborhood representatives here tonight? Have you been able to identify a location in your community that you think would work for a feedback session?
Hey, Laura, before
Uh-huh.
they answer, do you mind if I ask if you said they do Dare to Care? Is this for for community members? This is, I'm
No,
assuming like people around the community come and
they
like,
come everywhere.
yeah. So I was just thinking this might be a perfect opportunity immediately following one of those. Have you all stay around. We'll do one of the meetings immediately following the Dare to Care event.
Well,
Wait,
I'll speak to the pastor and see.
I'm sorry, Laura. I was just thinking it's an opportunity. People are already there to
Good
get them to
opportunity.
stay,
That's a
stay
good
for one
thought.
more hour. Yeah.
But
Mhm.
just remember what she said, that it's typically folks from other communities will come
Mm, okay.
as
Okay.
well. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I know, Mike, you shared your information with me with regard to looking at January the 10th. You
Actually,
want to recap that for everybody.
all right, I do need to update on that. They've got February or March reserved for us, whichever one we pick. The January date, they've already got something scheduled.
Okay.
and
So
say
it's that
again,
second
say-
what in fact the second what day of the week is it?
It's the first Tuesdays, so
The
that
first Tuesday. Okay. Okay.
February 6th
okay.
or
And say
March.
what the location is again, Mike. What's the,
I think it's called Church of the Promise, but it's the area behind the Table Restaurant.
okay,
Mhm.
It's 1800 Portland Avenue.
okay.
You say 1500?
18, I think he said.
18. Okay.
Portland.
Mhm.
And coming back to Dr. Aaron or Dr. Rollins, I mean, I'm in favor of what he's suggesting. I think we do need to have a economic development goal. And I've had some discussions, and we've got some groups that do simultaneously, converting abandoned houses, and then also training people on how to do construction and things like that. So we kind of have some job development and homeowner creation. So I mean, I think there's lots of opportunities for that, and I think we need to get our mouths out there, and we need to put our money where our mouths are.
Okay. Okay, that sounds good. So Portland is ready, you think, with a, okay. All right.
So, Ms. Laura,
Mm-hmm.
the Shawnee neighborhood, they do have an association, and they meet, I think the third Tuesday of every month at the Port Shaw. So that would be a good time to meet with them.
Okay.
The only issue that I see with that is that it's a certain type of group that's active on the Shawnee Association. So I think for my group, we would have to possibly do 2 dates, or me try to get them to come together for this moment.
So what do you
So-
mean by two groups? What's the backstory on that?
The way you said it. The backstory is when I went to the Shawnee Association, it's a lot of
Uh-oh.
the
We can't, there's something with the audio. I'm having.
We might need you to turn
in
off your
the
video, Alicia. We're losing you.
neighborhood.
Yeah, turn your video off. That helps. Now see.
Is that a little better?
Yes.
It is.
My internet is bad where I'm at, so if it breaks up, please let me know.
Okay, go ahead.
So the first group that is actually active on the association is normally an older group.
Mhm.
Okay, there we go. Hold on. Let me walk upstairs. Can y'all hear me better?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. I just took my steps. But the first group, they own their property. They've been in the neighborhood for decades. But then there's another group that are younger, working class. They probably own their homes or been in the neighborhood for about 3 to 4 years. Their mentality about the community or the neighborhood is different than someone that has invested a lot of time, energy, resources. So that's why I said I can probably do it and we can all meet at the neighborhood association, but it's just two very different groups and two different levels of understanding, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Is it possible to pick a neutral location though?
It is. I would have to figure out where that could be, but yeah, I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
Shawnee, what about the golf course? They have a room at the golf course, right?
They do.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can work with him. We work with him on our other initiatives. He's really good to work
Okay.
with.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that a good option, Alicia, the golf course location?
Oh, it is. Yes.
Okay.
And the younger group, just out of curiosity, what is their focus? What are their interests when you said that they kind of have a different view than the older group?
When's the money coming and how's it going to affect me personally? It's
Yeah.
more of an I type of mentality. No disrespect if y'all watching this on pre-recorded, but it's more mainly like an I, where the other group is more of the community as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay.
And I have a it's called the Community Opportunity Board of Advisors for the Park Hill neighborhood. They actually reached out to me several months ago, and I told Dr. Gabe about it. He probably doesn't remember, but but they have been inviting us to their meetings, and they're going to meet. They meet the first Thursday of each month from 5:30 to 7, and they have a building they go to. It's 933 West Hill Street where they meet.
Mm-hmm.
So they're wanting us to come and meet with them also.
Okay. Now, I think that if we partner with a named organization and we are going in on the usual night or time that they have their regular meetings, the meeting cannot be exclusively with that group.
Okay,
The group has to understand that the meeting is for the entire neighborhood.
yeah, so I got an email today saying that they're trying to get the neighbors to come out for a meeting. So when I get more information on that, I can let everybody know, let Rita
Okay.
know.
And for our purposes, as an organization, we have to put some of our energy into making sure that each person in each of the 9 neighborhoods feels welcomed and understands that they can attend those meetings. So we have some responsibility to advertise and promote, not just the folks whose location is hosting the meeting. That's very, very important because we don't want to give the impression that we only want to speak to Sally and Susie, and we're not interested in what Larry, Moe, and Curly have to say when we go into any of these neighborhoods. It's for everybody.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay.
And Laura, if I can ask Ms. Darlene or Ms. Burns to speak to their thoughts on the $100,000 ordeal for their neighborhood. How do you think it would be perceived by your constituents? Just what do you think? Of course, we don't know. I just wonder.
I think they'll be excited about it. They've been wanting us to do something to show that good faith that we really are out here doing something and keeping them in mind. I do have one concern. My concern is that's a lot of money. And how we're going to manage that, how we're going to make sure that it's, designated to what it needs to go to, but still keeping the neighborhood active with those decisions, if that makes sense. So we make a budget and we say we want to spend the money on whatever the Shawnee neighborhood decides on. Who's managing that? Are we managing that as the neighborhood, or who's going to make sure or get the receipts? Or I guess that's the accountant in me. How's that going to be tracked? You know what I'm saying?
Each project is a business opportunity. And the challenge is, if we say we're going to do some $100,000 project in each of the 9 neighborhoods, it means that we're going to identify a business entity to whom we can make a loan or otherwise have some economic obligation on their part to pay us back for the investment, and that their job is to organize and to actualize the expectation of the folks in the neighborhood. And I've got to tell you, that's a big challenge. Yeah. Because what it really says is that we can identify a capable and responsive business entity with whom we can work, who has the ability to bring a real live completed project in each of these 9 neighborhoods. That's a big task. That's a big deal. Okay. And for purposes of what our engagement will be, if we do it in an economic development sense, it means that we can loan part of the seed capital to get the project started. They pay the partnership back over an agreed upon period of time per whatever contract we enter into with them. So our financial person, our accountant who's doing our books, would be the individual to note whether those payments are being made on time, whether, and we as a manager of the project, as a beneficiary of the project, would have to monitor performance to determine if that is happening per the contract. So we're talking about a lot of work, but the biggest hunk of the work is identifying an entity that is capable of delivering under a business agreement. That's going to be a challenge, depending upon what each of the 9 neighborhoods wants us to do.
I have to, excuse me, Cuddy and you all, I'm gonna have to leave because I'm still out here at Westport Road at 4.
Okay.
And I get downtown to home.
Okay.
Apologize.
Thanks, Miss Sharon.
I will be at the next one. You all take care.
You too.
Nice
okay. Okay. And Miss Sharon, before you get off, I just want to let everybody on the call know, if you don't know, Miss Sharon just buried her oldest sister on Friday. So we're just asking everyone to keep Miss Sharon and her family and her sister's family in our prayers during this Thanksgiving holiday season. It's a tough time when we lose anyone at any time, but it even makes it more difficult during this time of the year. So, we're lifting you and your family up in prayer, Miss Sharon, and you be careful driving home.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Bye.
Is it okay if I share a little bit of the feedback that I got from folks in Russell?
Yes.
Okay, so there was like initial excitement around the concept, but they gave a lot of feedback about what they felt like it would take for this to really be successful. The first thing they said was they felt like in order for us to have well-attended convenings, that we would need to have some sort of events prior to that, whether they be like, they mentioned things like meet and greets, where folks have the opportunity to just meet and get to know people who are on the board, because they voiced like not really knowing who the board members were or the board members' connections to our community. Even though they knew me, they expressed a desire to know like you all and all of us here. They said that they thought it might be good for us to, and I think we alluded to this a little bit, to connect with some trusted voices in the neighborhood, whether they be organizations or individuals, because that would enhance our ability to partner with known and trusted organizations on these events, and to also have those organizations helping us recruit, but that would likely require that we connect with those organizations first and have potential meetings with them. Let's see. I think those were the big things that people kept saying to me when I was talking about this. And then they just were asking me questions about how people can get more connected to us and the work we're doing in the short term. And I've asked some questions about that already. But
so
that
the
was
bottom line for them is we have to give them a reason to come to the meeting. They don't know us. We haven't reached out to them. What's the get for them
right.
getting involved? Yeah. Okay.
Right. Yeah. And we spent some time talking about that. And I mean, I had a long list. Folks mentioned everything from canvassing to meet and greets to just like a happy hour, not a happy hour with booze, I'm assuming, but just like a happy hour where folks can come and connect and just talk about the neighborhood and just get to know us as human beings, this work aside, prior to connecting. They felt like that would enhance the number of people who show up, essentially. Is just maybe less formal ways to get to know us.
Okay.
But that was the feedback that I got. So I told him I would say it. So
okay,
there you go.
I think
Dr.
I just love Dr. Miller.
Do you have a day of in terms of meeting, understanding what you just put on the table, but do you have a thought with regard to Russell? Is there a certain day of the month that they meet or a location? Have you nailed that down? I'm just taking notes from each of the neighborhood reps that are on the call with regard to what those options might be.
So it was definitely in the evenings. I do know that the Russell Neighborhood Association has not been meeting regularly for the past, I'd say 6 to 8 months. So that's not going to be as much of an asset as I thought it might be. So yeah, I know that evenings, and then I know of several places in the community, but we actually didn't settle on a best place because it just became like a feedback session. So
they would rather do a
Would
get
you
to know
say?
you before they make a commitment.
So not even a commitment, but they felt like in order to have more well-attended sessions, that they wanted some opportunity to get to know us a little bit better. Like they were asking me where could they go to find out to like see everybody who's on the board. And they were just asking me questions like that about how to get to know us. They were like, maybe you all could put out videos on social media introducing each of you and why this work is important to you, or just something to enhance their knowledge of us and their relationship with us. But I got that feedback from pretty much everybody that I talked to.
I think the model in the Russell neighborhood so far, particularly if you look at what RPOP has been doing, they're used to having that up close and personal interaction. And they're used to being brought in. They're used to being consulted with. They're used to a large get to know you, come and relax kind of activity in the neighborhood. So that makes sense that that's what they would request.
Yeah, and I can't say that everybody that I talked to had in some way in the past engaged with RPOP for some sort of community work.
Okay,
So I think that's a good call out, because I do think that definitely has an influence, because people have become used to an established way of
yeah,
going about
a
things.
real up close and personal kind of exchange. That's what they're
Mhm.
used to. Okay,
100%.
okay.
So it sounds like they want this board, maybe we could have a, like Dr. Gabe said, a meet and greet, have something and put the information out that there's going to be a meet and greet with the We Out board.
Mhm. That's a thought. That's a good thought. We could do that prior to announcing any of the meetings, or as we announce the meetings, maybe we could do that.
Mhm.
Also, you can utilize your website to help with that. And you can do
Yes.
little bios on each of each of the board members on the website
Yeah.
to help
And that's
you
going to be
with
part
that.
of it,
So,
Dr. Rollins. Dr. Rollins, you're right on point. As a matter of fact, we have all of the the proposals in for the website, and that whole introductory piece, and we've taken the majority of the photographs. All of that will be incorporated to be able to provide additional information in the new website, which is forthcoming. I think that's going to be on the agenda for November 27th board meeting as well. So, we're still getting there. And like Laura was saying, and Dr. Gabe, the Russell neighborhood is a little bit more used to doing things, um, um, or I guess kind of connecting the dots. They're a little further out there, I think, than some of the
Mhm.
other neighborhoods.
Mm.
But we're, it's coming. We're right on the cusp.
Mhm.
And the important thing about making sure that we tie this down, you guys, is that Dr. Wade is working with us on the communication piece. So this is like Thanksgiving, November. If we're going to start doing these meetings in January, she is looking forward to the neighborhood reps providing us information so that we can formulate a calendar so that they can do the information in terms of getting it out there, letting people know, creating the plan in terms of how we're going to communicate this to the 9 neighborhoods and all the details so that they have that information. So we really need everybody's help. Thank you.
Mhm.
Can I just jump in because I've been just listening? I'm sorry, this is Dr. Milliner. I wanted to make sure that I let you all know that I, again, spoke to the one half of the California neighborhood, which is the Victory, sorry, the California Federation. And Mr. Parker, he is, an amazing individual who has been open to any and everything that I have said and talked to him about. And he said, whatever day that we come up with, he will make it happen and all his people will show up. The California Neighborhood Association, I think that's their name. I have not been able to speak with them as of yet. And they're kind of like what Alicia was saying. It's the people, I wouldn't say older, but they've been working in the neighborhood for a long time, but seems that they mostly work on the California side of, like, toward the California, oh shoot, my brain just died. Toward the California neighborhood side and less toward the Victory side, because as I stated before, they have a lot of meetings and stuff, but none of my neighbors ever get invited to those things. Like, they say that they put out flyers and invite people, but I think they're inviting people over on one side and not toward this side so much. So I'm still looking to touch bases with them and try to get some feedback on some dates. But as I stated before, I'm looking for a neutral location because I hate to say it this way, but they don't seem to get along.
Okay,
So, but that's where I am.
okay.
Dr. Miller, do you mind speaking to the my question regarding your neighborhood? Do you think that it's the sum as well? Because you are going to be honest, I need you all to help me talk to the committee, the finance committee, and explain to them how this can help your individual neighborhood. That's why I'm asking you all this. What do you think about the sum?
And I did talk to them, and there was one gentleman that was very vocal, and he's funny, but he said his comment was kind of along the lines of what most people say. Well, it's nice to hear that they want to do something, but we're down here every day working and making things happen without that kind of money. And I'm trying to make sure I say this the way he said it. Something along the lines of, it's funny how us poor people can change a whole neighborhood without having the resources, but all those people that you work with, meaning me, have all the resources and they can't figure out how to make anything work. So I think I'm phrasing that correctly, but that was just one gentleman's viewpoint. Everybody else was like, well, we're willing to, hear you all out, see what you all have to, but I know that they have acquired a house that is right by right across from Victory Park. A lady donated a house to the California Federation, and they're going to use that house to do some things like have some workshops and things like that. So, but they are looking for funding to help, fix that house up so that it's more for rooms that they can work in, and like not office spaces, but more like classroom spaces. So I know that that's something that they are working on, and their funding is limited, but I know that that was a project that they had mentioned. So, but
Thank you. Oh,
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
No, but I was just saying, so that's kind of where we are. But like I said, that one guy, he was funny to say that, but
Of course. I'm really happy you said that and glad you said it, because many of the people in the neighborhoods, they have jaded views on what's happening with organizations like this one and other organizations. So I think it's a fair point. Laura or Rita or Gabe, do you all want to speak to, I think there's a comment from Scott Love in the comment section.
Well, I see Scott's comment there. And you guys need to bear with me. I think it would be more appropriate for Rita and for me to address Scott's questions and comments in a sidebar with him outside of the committee meeting, because this is a working committee meeting. I think it's important for the committee itself to kind of churn things through and decide where it wants to land. I don't want to start a precedent of addressing comments from non-board members during the committee sessions, but certainly Rita and I will address the concerns that Scott has raised.
And then Laura, let me just say too, that I saw Scott's comment earlier, but I didn't understand it. It was like a one-liner. So I did ask him to expound on that so that we would be able to talk to him about it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll address it with Scott as a sidebar rather than in the committee meeting.
Yes, and it looks like we are just about at time, but I do think that's an important thing that you bring up, Dr. Rollins and or excuse me, Aaron and Ms. Laura, because I do think at previous or at past meetings before we got onto this path of really hammering this out because it's time sensitive, we talked about ways to streamline communication between us and community and even efficient ways to get questions answered. So I'm wondering if we could put that on the agenda for our next meeting so that we can make sure that that doesn't slip past us, because while we do have a very small amount of time and a lot to do in these meetings typically, we also do want to be responsive to your point, Aaron and
Yes.
Laura. So
Yes, I think once we get our webpage set up and people have a way of a formalized way to communicate with us, things can be streamlined a little bit more because we can grab comments off of the webpage and have a routine way of responding to things.
And before we close out, Dr. Gabe, I want to just say that with regard to our timeline of January, February, March, we're going to make sure we do these 9 meetings as we have stated, January, February, March. I mean, it may end up being 1 in January, 4 in February, 4 in March, however, based on however we have to break it down to get it done. But what we want to do is to make sure that we incorporate time for Dr. Wade and her team to do the very best that they can do in terms of communicating to the residents and the people and to the public to make sure that we are doing things decent and in order and giving residents and folks plenty of time to plan to attend these meetings. Dr. Wade is looking at a comprehensive approach, you know, in terms of the different ways to communicate and possibly even doing some of the PSA interview spots on TV and radio with Laura and, you know, however, you know, that's going to be done. Could be Dr. Gabe and Laura, Dr. Gabe, however. So we want to make sure that we do have ample time for that. So now, Mike, since you told us that Portland, because that was the first one we were kind of thinking originally about January 10th, that works nicely because that puts them in February or March. And then what we can do, since people will be coming off the holidays, if we do 1 or 2 meetings in January, Dr. Rollins, maybe we do them toward the end of January. And then, you know, we lock down February and March, and then we have the follow-up 10th meeting. So I will be circling back with everyone based on the notes that I've taken in terms of looking at the day of the week that we're talking about, because even if people have meetings, like the, you know, 3rd Tuesday, if we just kind of stay with that time frame and do our thing, hopefully people will yield and work with us to allow us to really, you know, position that to be a community-based meeting for the neighborhood, if that makes sense. Thank you, Dr. Gabe.
no problem. Thank you. And thank you for the legwork that you did making this meeting possible today and connecting with the neighborhood reps. And thanks again for all the neighborhood reps, Aaron, for being here. Anybody else have anything before we close this thing out? All right. Well, I think we can go ahead and adjourn this bad boy.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yes.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Thank
Happy
you,
Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yes.
Okay.
Good night.
All right. Bye.